for this one, Common? KFAN welcomes Leonard Skinnard.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. It was raining hard in Frisco. I needed one more fare to make my night.
And Foreigner.
Feels like there are Skinnard and Foreigner together.
They're coming to Mystic Lake Amphitheater August 16th with special guest Six Gun Sally.
I've never heard of Six Gun Sally.
Tickets go on sale November 21st at 10 a.m. Get the complete details on all our upcoming shows on the concert page at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Lord, I was born a rambling man. That's Six Gun Sally, I think. Couple 13-14 past. I'm Common East Tenna. Excited and delighted to welcome the legendary one, Mark Rosen, into our studios.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Were you there on Sunday? Did you hear the boos? Were they?
I'm always there on Sundays. Yeah. Of course I heard them. Pretty hard to ignore it.
Well, you couldn't hear them that great on TV.
Oh, is that right?
You could hear it a little bit, but
yeah, it wasn't like it was just cascading down, but it was, and rightfully so. The fans were upset, and after watching 3+ quarters, I'm not sure. It's a rhetorical question at this point. It's a moot point. But had the special teams not let the Vikings down on that final kickoff, how much more conversation there would have been about the 85-yard drive in the final minute that McCarthy led them on.
You like this kid?
Wait a minute. Let me just finish.
I'm just asking.
You ask, it's your fallback. I just think that it would not have erased what we saw, obviously, for 3.5 quarters. But also, I don't know if the question's been posed to KOC this week about the up tempo. It just seemed like, and I was talking to some of the other guys about it. JJ got into a rhythm. He had to, because they had to go down the 85 yards to score a touchdown. Threw the ball, threw a nice pass to Hawkinson. He had a ball tipped. He completed a 4th down pass to, I think, Aaron Jones. And then he threw a beautiful pass to Naylor down to the 15-yard line. Then he threw the touchdown to Addison. If the Vikings win that game, and they go, McCarthy led them to a winning touchdown in the 4th quarter. Again, it doesn't erase what we saw, the ineptness of what we saw in the Josh Freeman-like passes that he threw early in the game in particular, about his overall performance. As KOC said today to Paul Allen, I'm eager for the cement to start drying in terms of finishing the product. But, there's something to be said about it, which, of course, naturally gets swept under the rug because the Vikings didn't win the game because the Vikings special teams couldn't make a tackle.
And the quarterback couldn't get the ball in the end zone because he kept overthrowing wide receivers. So it should never have come down to the special team.
No, but it did. That's the welcome to the NFL. That's what happens. I'm not saying that. Of course, McCarthy. It was. If
he had played better, they would have won in a laugher.
Well, I don't know about a laugher, but
they would have.
The Bears have been pesky to beat by any standards, and they're but. Yeah, it was stunning. The first couple series, I turned, the first passes, I keep track of all these games, as you know. That first high pass he threw to Jefferson, or airmailed it on a 3rd and 3. I turned around and I see the, kind of the murderer's row of writers. I just shook my head and went, here we go again. And that was what was going on. And you see McCarthy walking off the field after the punt team trots on and he's smacking himself in the helmet like, what am I doing? And that went on and on and on, and the Bears looked like they had the game more than wrapped up, but that's why they're the Bears. They managed to put their opponents in position to win games when you least expect it. And
they're 7-3. They're in first place.
Yeah, they're
not.
They're
the
not
Bears.
Well, they're the Bears. I know
they're 7-3 and they're in first place.
I know where they are, but they're not going to be for long. They're going to probably win this week, but they're not going to win the division. I kind of hope they do because I'm a big Chicago fan.
Well, who's going to win the division?
That's a good question.
Green Bay barely
Detroit,
beat
probably.
the Giants. Detroit can't beat anybody. Their offense is a mess.
Well, they are. The Vikings certainly gave the Eagles the blueprint for going after the statue that is Jared Goff when he doesn't have time to throw the football. Goff looked awful. I don't know. Maybe the Bears will win it, and then I'll be happy about that if they win. I don't mind seeing Chicago experience some success.
I want the Vikings to win the division.
Well, they're going to have to rattle off about 5 in a row to kind of make it interesting. But I'm just saying that the whole point was that I don't know if KOC found something in looking at McCarthy going, God, this up-tempo stuff. He doesn't have to.
Well, you
he's
can't
not
play
thinking.
up-tempo.
You can't play. No, I know you can't play it for the old 2-minute off. This is the old cliche. You can't play your 2-minute offense the entire game. No, I'm not suggesting you can, but he did look more effective. It wasn't like the Bears were letting him march down the field. They couldn't allow him to give up a touchdown because it almost cost him the game. I mean, if the Vikings do make a tackle on the 20-yard line like they normally do, all of a sudden, Caleb Williams has to put themselves, he's got to go 50, 60 yards instead of 10.
Have you changed your mind when we were talking about the Vikings quarterback decision? There were some people, including me, that thought we should have kept Sam Darnold or went with Aaron Rodgers. You said, nope, got to go with the youngster. Have you changed your mind at all there?
No, only because I still think that for years, the fans in particular, everyone's been clamoring for a franchise quarterback.
Well, we had one. His name was Sam Darnold.
Well, we don't know if he was a franchise quarterback. I mean, we saw what happened to Sam Darnold playing the Rams on Sunday. Again, he threw 4 interceptions. We don't know if he was a franchise quarterback. He had been the third team. A franchise quarterback usually is identified by someone like a Bryce Young, like all the other quarterbacks that have been drafted. You draft someone, you develop him, and then he becomes your franchise quarterback. Not someone you get as a free agent to fill in the blanks. And that's
the
what the
Rams
Vikings
have a franchise quarterback, and they traded for him.
Yeah, I know they did, but
You can trade for a franchise quarterback.
You can trade for one, yes, but I'm not. You're suggesting. I'm saying they signed free agents. The Vikings have gone down that road many times.
So you think McCarthy's got a brighter future than Darnold?
I don't know if he has a brighter. You're asking the wrong questions.
Well, I don't think because here's the deal.
I don't know if he has a brighter future.
We were searching for a franchise quarterback. And we had him, and could have had him for $100 million, which was
and then they would not have signed any of the other guys that they signed.
What are the other guys?
Look at their offensive line. Their offensive line with Fries right now, and they drafted Donovan Jackson.
That was a draft pick. So Fries is the only guy and Hargrave finally has played
in the last couple of years. They signing Cashman, Van Ginkel. I mean, these have been signings that have been significant enough. I'm just saying that in general.
Well, they'll have to pay. If McCarthy turns into a franchise, they're going to have to pay him.
Well,
so you're going to have to pay him $100. You're going to pay him over $100 million.
That'd be a nice problem to have. 3 years from now.
But you had your franchise quarterback after last year. He took you to 14-3.
Well, there are a lot of circumstances, but that's again, you're identifying him as a franchise quarterback. Well,
he's got Seattle 7-3.
He does.
He's been a front runner for the MVP award. One of the top 5 players has been mentioned as an MVP this season.
I just don't think it would have been a whole lot different. What he experienced against the Rams in that playoff game, how would that have changed if they didn't improve their offensive line this year? And I don't know. I mean, I just don't know if that would have meant. I love Sam Darnold. I think he's terrific. I mean, again, he found his kryptonite this last Sunday, and he's going to have to prove it because the starting point for all these discussions, and Seattle's going to go through the same thing. How do you perform in the postseason? Getting to the playoffs isn't the objective of any of these teams. It's doing something when you get there. And now Sam Darnold's going to be potentially facing his ghosts again. And I wish him well. It was fabulous to watch here. I don't know what McCarthy's going to be, but it's going to be. I think what really killed him was we've talked about this over and over again. Losing all that practice time last year. Obviously they signed Darnold, but when he got hurt in the preseason and he had to be sidelined the whole year, he lost all that practice time, and now he's trying to make up for it. And fundamentally, I had Chris Carter come by me on Sunday during the game. And said to me, he's an Ohio State guy, as you know. And he brought up good points. He said McCarthy, when he was at Michigan, one of the best defenses in college football, great running game. He didn't have to play hero ball. He didn't have to sling it around.
Yeah, we've all been saying.
I know, but I'm just saying that it's added to plus the mechanics of what he's not doing now. I don't understand why mechanically he's having so much trouble. The way that KOC still talks about him is that he's a freshman quarterback that hasn't played the game. I mean, by now you think you'd see some improvement. And again, the last drive was encouraging, but at this point you just got to play it through and see where he's at. A year from now, it's difficult to wait. It's difficult to tell people, but the Vikings made the decision to go after him After they wanted Drake May, but the price was too high, and New England wasn't interested in making a trade. That's the guy they really wanted, but they weren't going to get him. And you see the results. I mean, it's a different
So
world.
what they did instead was they took the least desirable of those quarterbacks, and the head coach thought, I can coach him up and get him to be a great quarterback.
And that still may happen. But it may happen. But right now, like I said, it's too bad that, at least from a standpoint of winning that game. I mean, Jordan Love, a lot of these quarterbacks are still kind of people going, I don't know what we got with him. Caleb Williams has been under fire a lot during his short time, but he started every game for the Bears since day one. Now he's got a real head coach there who understands offense, and he's still kind of sketchy at times.
Yeah,
I don't know.
All right. We'll see what happens this Sunday at Curly against a really good defense. We'll see if it gets any better.
Yeah.
We'll pause. We'll come back. We'll talk more Vikings football. The Gophers, that was ugly.
It always is on the road.
And then we'll talk some Wild and some Wolves with Mark Rosen coming up next year in the Fan.
Hey, Rubes, this football season, Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay it forward to a charity of their choice. Just head over to KFAN.com, keyword contest to learn more and enter today. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Double 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I think it was yesterday during his day after the game news conference. Head coach of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, he was talking. They were asking him about what appears to be some frustrations from Jefferson, the wide receiver, and he mentioned that Jefferson is our franchise player, and when if you're any team in the NFL and your franchise player is your wide receiver, that speaks volumes. Every team's franchise player should be their quarterback. That's the guy that wins all the games. So you have to have. Who's the franchise player in Kansas City? It's Mahomes. It's Josh Allen in Buffalo. All the really good teams, their franchise players, pretty much. There are some exceptions.
Randy Moss was the Vikings franchise player.
Yeah. But they never got us to a big game, never won us a world championship.
No.
Your quarterback almost has to be.
Who's the Lions franchise player?
The Lions, right. I don't even know if I were to say they'd have one, it would probably be Gibbs, and I don't.
What about Aiden Hutchinson?
What's happened with Hutchinson is teams are doubling him every game for the most part. And so they're saying, and right now, nobody else with the Lions. They occasionally will have another lineman beat somebody, but most of the time they can't. So I just think unless you have you almost have to have your franchise player has to be a quarterback. In most cases, it doesn't, we know what, and we can go through all the list of names of players, the teams that won without a franchise. The Giants had Hostetler. They had Phil Simms. The Ravens had Dilfer. So teams, it's not absolutely 100%, but in most cases, you have to have your franchise quarterback,
especially for long-term success.
Yeah, has got to be your quarterback.
And there lies, this discussion is going to continue on and on and on, and we can have it, and we do pretty much every week. It's now 5 starts for J.J. McCarthy, and at some point, it's not going to probably even be this year. Obviously, he's got to finish strong. It looks like he's going to have to make some improvement, but to identify him as such, or as we talked about during the break, that he becomes the next Trey Lance, that you just eventually have to cut him, that discussion is not going to happen this year or probably well into next year until he gets a whole lot more games under his belt. And, at what cost? I mean, that's always the problem when you have, I personally, and I don't know, I look at the rest of the teams right now in the NFC, especially the top flight teams. You look at, I think, the Eagles and the Rams, arguably number, depending on which order you want to put them, 1 and 2. I don't look at the Vikings as a team that's in that ballpark. They weren't considered that even before the season from a whole personnel standpoint. I mean, they weren't favored to win their division. They weren't favored, even though they won 13 games last year. I don't think most people felt they were Super Bowl contending teams. And that's really what you have as a discussion. I think it's the other teams, so you have to go, okay, they've made the decision to try to develop this guy, this young man, 5 games into his career, and hope he doesn't have any more setbacks with injuries, certainly for the rest of this year. Next year, this whole discussion will continue again. I think they'd probably bring a veteran quarterback in next year as a backup. I don't think they're going to have Max Brosmer as the backup. I think they'll probably bring in, I'm not saying it's going to be a Sam Darnold type, but, they're going to have to bring someone in that can probably play right now and not rely on a rookie type of individual to have as a backup.
Well, I think they're in too deep now. They got to keep playing this kid.
They're going to keep playing him. I meant him as a backup just in case he gets dinged up or something that, you're going to have him in the game. Carson Wentz isn't going to be back. And, so I'm just saying you're going to have that type of a quarterback that I think the Vikings are going to have to look for next season as they continue this process with him. But yeah, I mean, it's team. We've seen it time and time again. Teams stake their claim to a guy to hitch their wagon to a quarterback, and it can be dicey. It's a tough ass position to play and to master and to get to that point. And 5 games in, it looks right now. I mean, he's got to keep his head above water, and as they say, wait for the cement to dry because it ain't drying right now. It's hard to watch. It is. I was out there and I saw it over and over again. And he's got athletic ability. It looks like he can try to figure things out. Like I said, that last drive he looked good, but you can't rely on that to try to win a football game every week. And he played well against the Lions in Detroit. So
okay game. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't spectacular, but you didn't have to put up big numbers. You just have to play winning football, and that's what you look for, especially in crucial drives at the end of football games. I don't know. Meanwhile, the Vikings are kind of just spinning their wheels, and
any given Sunday, you can use this on Vikings game day.
Okay.
On
any given Sunday.
On any given Sunday, but I have a hard time picking the Vikings beating the Packers at Lambeau right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would.
Really
they've had success there, but the Packers have got their own issues. And they haven't exactly been.
No, they've lost games to teams they probably shouldn't lose games to, and they almost. I mean, the Giants were into the bitter end.
The reason I mentioned Bryce, Carolina is a playoff caliber type team right now, and a lot of it's because of their franchise quarterback, young franchise quarterback who struggled last year.
Yeah,
they've improved their right. He's gotten a whole lot better.
Last game he was really good.
Yeah,
if you
he was.
Go look at his previous game, he had a couple of out of the what's their record now? 6-5. Of the 11 games, I think they're 6-5. But 11 games they've played, just numbers, and numbers can be deceiving. Stats don't always determine how a guy plays. But if you go look at his numbers, he's had a handful of statistically good games. He's had a handful that haven't been. So
but
yeah, he's playing better than he did last year. Well, yeah, of course they're going to roll. They selected him. Was he number one? Was number one overall? Yeah, they're gonna roll with him for a while. And I'm sure they will with McCarthy. They don't have any other choice. The coach's reputation and the general manager's is hanging on it right now.
That's how you lose your job if it doesn't pan out.
Yeah. So they're going to stick with those. They're going to stick with them. We'll see what happens on Sunday. You'll hear the game. Is that a noon or a 3 o'clock?
Noon.
It's a noon. So coverage begins at 10 o'clock here on the radio station. The kickoff shortly after.
It'll be 50 degrees in Green Bay. So for those of you going out to.
It'll be 50 degrees here.
Pretty much the same thing. Yeah, late November game.
Mid-50s on Saturday, and I think about 50 on Sunday.
Unbelievable.
Let's take a break. Come back. We'll talk about the Gophers and the Wolves in the Wild with Mark Rosen here on what we affectionately call FM 100.3 KFAN.
Chime into what's happening with your favorite KFAN program. Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
13:14 past. Common Man program on Comedies 10 to be. Mark Rosen here as well. This text message came into the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. We see a number of these like this. It says, Minnesota Bobos are ridiculous. Bench JJ for what? Look at Elway, Manning, and Aikman in their first years. Get off JJ and start ripping on our GM. He doesn't have a clue to what he's doing. Well, the general manager drafted him. So what do you mean? He doesn't have a clue. And here's the other, everybody uses the Manning example and all the others. Well, look at Ponder, Joey Harrington.
There's a whole bunch of them. There's a long
way
list.
more than that.
And Trey Lance in their first seasons, right?
Go on and on.
Do you remember Trey Lance in his first season?
Yeah.
Awful. Do you remember Ponder? Awful. Do you remember Joey Harrington for Detroit, 3rd pick overall?
Yeah.
He was awful. Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf. In other words, there have been more examples of players that struggled in their first year and continued to struggle till they were out of the league in 3 or 4 years. So it can go either way, and it is possible that McCarthy figures things out game by game, gets a little bit better, gets his eyes and his feet aligned, which you probably should have learned at the IMG Academy about 20 years ago, but apparently he didn't. And if you're able to do that, maybe he will. But I think it's looking more like there's a better chance he's going to be more Ponder-like than he is Manning.
I'm not willing to go down that road yet. I just think it's far from a perfect science when you're dealing with it. You can do all the scouting work you want and all the testing, and they do, and the combines and the measurables and the rest of it, and you still have to. What you can't figure out is how, in real time, how a young quarterback is going to react. You can't duplicate that in any practice, in any simulated game until a game situation. When you got a 300-pound lineman coming out trying to tear your head off, and are you trying to complete as getting the play call in, and it's the complications of these offenses. You have to be cerebral enough to figure it all out. There's a lot that goes into it, and obviously McCarthy's not ready for all of that just yet, and that's what they're hopeful that he's going to figure out as this season goes along. He's still got 7 long games left to play. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here are the Bryce Young numbers for this year.
Yep.
Starting with the first game of the season against Jacksonville. We'll go with yards, TDs, interceptions, and rating. 154, 1 tutty, 2 interceptions, a 49 rating. Against Arizona, much better. 328 yards, 3 tutties, a pick, 90.6. Against Atlanta, 121 yards passing, no tutties, no picks, 78.6. Against New England, 150 yards, 1 tutty, no interceptions, 84 rating. Against Miami, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 tutty, and 90.7 rating. Against Dallas, 199 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, a 114.8. Against the Jets, 138 yards with 1 tutty, no interceptions, 88.4. Against Green Bay, threw for only 102 yards, no tutties, and interception, 48.3. Against New Orleans, 124 yards, no touchdowns, interception for 62.8 rating. And then last week, his big game, 448, 3 tutties, no interceptions, 123.2. Those numbers, that's an okay season at best.
Yeah,
he's playing better than he was. But what does that say? That's not saying too much. Right?
I don't know. I don't know how many other quarterbacks you could probably, who are contending type teams, have pretty similar numbers. I don't know what Jordan Love's numbers are right now, and he's been up and down. And we've seen, like I said, I was reading an article today about Jalen Hurts of all people, the Eagles, who have all the poise of a champion and that ability to close teams out. And we saw it again the other night against the Kitties.
Well, Jordan Love's numbers are certainly better.
I would think so.
He's thrown for 2,421 yards. He has 15 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions.
Well, there you go.
And his quarterback rating is 103.2. That's the total.
These interceptions are also killing McCarthy, and the fact that the Vikings, and I've said it over and over again. Again, Sunday was another perfect example. You lose the turnover battle, you're probably going to lose the game, and the Vikings just can't, for the life of them, create turnovers. They had the Bears fumble the ball away.
Is it 8 turnovers for the season, and 5 were against the Bengals, right? I think there were 5 in the Bengals game.
Yeah,
I thought it was 5.
Returned for touchdowns.
And so otherwise, I think it's only either 3 or 4
3 picks all year.
turnovers since then.
Yeah, and you can't expect to win games like that. And you don't. You lose a turnover battle, you're going to lose most of those games. And, to have McCarthy even work with a short field just once in a while would be refreshing. But the Vikings defense, they've gotten better, but they sometimes it's just luck, and sometimes it's just they haven't had the skill level to pick off passes, and that's really hurting them.
It certainly isn't helping.
No, it is not.
Minnesota Golden Gopher football team.
Mm-hmm.
They are. They've played 3 really quality teams. In number 1, Ohio State.
Right.
Got beat, was 42-3, I think. Played Iowa, who wasn't ranked at the time, I don't believe. I think after that win, they jumped to 20th, and I think they maybe even 18th now, but I think they're in the top 20, top 25. They got just destroyed by Iowa.
Yeah,
then they went to Oregon. They did score a touchdown. Oh, goody. But they got destroyed by number 8. I think Oregon was rated 8 going into that game. So again, when it comes to playing the best teams in the conference, the Gophers are just woefully
yeah, they're back
right?
in their weight class this week, even though they're underdogs at Wrigley Field against Northwestern. But the Iowa game sticks out again because the Gophers have been competitive against the Hawkeyes. That game was just, from start to finish on national TV, I'm still stunned by how inept Minnesota looked. I've watched Iowa play a couple times, and they've had some success. They've lost a couple games. I think they lost to Oregon, but the Gophers made them look like a combination of the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs in their prime that day. Minnesota couldn't do anything right that day. They just got flat out beaten every facet of the game. Losing at Ohio State the way they did, and I wasn't expecting, again, you can almost fill in the blanks with what happened against Oregon last week. Going on the road and playing that team, that with their speed and the kind of recruiting they're able to do compared to the Gophers, it's a mismatch. But it's just these are the games, again, like this week. We say this over and over again. They beat Nebraska. That was their one big win. If you want to call it that. This is a game that they have to find a way to win. It's like I said, they're back in their weight class, and they, in order to move the needle a little bit, beat Northwestern. They're a decent team. They're not a great team, and the Gophers should be better than this right now to capitalize on a game like this and find a way to win this game. And then Wisconsin's gotten a little bit better, at least a little more competitive, but they're not great. They got them left on the schedule. Otherwise, it's the Meineke Car Bowl again, whatever they're going to play in. And the recruiting seems to be going well and signing different players, but they keep talking about how young. Every year it seems like the Gophers are the youngest team in the college football, year after year. And I like the quarterback. I think he's got skill, and I think he could turn into a very, very good quarterback. But it's the other players around you too that you just have to. Darius Taylor is in one game, and unfortunately the young man can't stay healthy, and he's in and out of the lineup a lot. Their defense is okay. Coy Parrish is their big name on defense. And
how good of a year has he had? Has he been? I
think it's been okay. I don't think it's been a standout year for him in terms of he was going to play more offense. I don't think he's played some time that I've been watching. He hasn't had that much of an effect on the offense. Obviously playing defense, returning punts and kicks, but he hasn't had the huge impact that Cooper DeJean had at Iowa just yet. And that, again, it's his second year. But yeah, it's just these are the games on Saturday the Gophers have to win. They just do if they want to be looked upon as a team that's like I say moving the needle a little bit.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it may not. It's not going to put them in a better bowl game by beating Northwestern. But but these are the games that as a slight underdog, you expect that Minnesota should be better than them.
If you are resigned, if you're resigned to the idea that we're going to be a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team, which I am. I don't think we're ever going to ever be any better than that. And even more so now because of nil. Because we, for whatever reason, don't generate the same amount of name, image, and likeness money as some of the other schools do. For whatever reasons, and there are many reasons why. But I never thought they would get there even before that because I just go by historically. Now you can point to Indiana and Wisconsin on a few occasions and other clubs, but so if you beat Northwestern, okay, that's great. That's nice, but that doesn't, to me, move the needle. And then who do they have after that? They have Wisconsin.
I'm not sure. I think Wisconsin. I know they got Wisconsin left.
I think there's only 2 games left, isn't it?
I think it might be right.
So you beat Northwestern and you beat Wisconsin, and you go to that would be 6-3 in the conference, I guess, and 8-4 overall. And okay, that's fine. But again, are you any closer to taking that, to really moving the needle where it's like, you know what, we're getting closer to being able to go toe to toe with the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Oregons, and the Iowas, and Penn State. Well, Penn State was terrible this year, but yeah, at that point, I just don't see it right now. I don't see it.
Well, you always look forward to. I mean, if you're a Big Ten fan in particular, you always look forward to the Ohio State Michigan game, and I would say most of the time be a toss of a coin in terms of really who's favored this year. I mean, Ohio State's got to be 2 touchdown favorites in that game. When they play Michigan. It may not be that high, but I mean, it just feels like it's going to be a dominant type win for Ohio State. I know Michigan will get up for the game. I don't even know where the game is this year, if it's in Ann Arbor or Columbus, but Ohio State's clearly the best team, and Ohio State and Indiana are on the proverbial collision course for the Big Ten championship, and and obviously the playoffs as well, but potentially. And I think most people are, with all due respect to the Buckeyes, I think looking for Indiana to kind of crack through and continue on what they've been doing.
Games in Michigan this year, Ohio State.
Is it?
Michigan,
yeah, well, that gives them a fighting chance, but I don't think much difference.
Well, if you want to talk about Sam Darnold and his ghosts, I think Ohio State has ghosts.
Oh boy, do they ever!
I think.
Well,
again, you can use this if you want. When Ohio State and that school up north get together, you can throw the records out the window.
Normally you can.
I think you can. Yeah. I mean, you could last year.
Yeah. Well,
Ohio State was... Were they number one last year when the 2 teams met? I think they were.
I believe they were.
And Michigan won the game.
Yeah.
So...
Could happen.
Or did Ohio State win last year? Did they finally win last year? I don't even recall anymore. I know that day it had its problems with them.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the score. I mean, what they had talked about was that's the way it is actually at the Ohio State. It's that's great that you won the national championship, but you lost to Michigan. That's what they hate.
That's all that matters.
It really does.
Yeah,
that's what
it carries. It carries a lot of weight.
Your Gopher team, 5 of the last 6, Wolves team, 5 of the last 6.
Well,
all they do is win. They're just gelling and stacking, me boy.
Well, they're stacking against teams that are under 500. They haven't beat a team with a winning record yet, and there's a lot more to come with that. But we've also seen this team stub its toe against these teams like, the Dallas Mavericks have always been a very, very good basketball team. Now they're just a wreck, and they're playing another one. The worst team, arguably the worst team in basketball in the world. Washington is in town, and these are teams you have to put away. I mean, you don't have to apologize for beating them, but you'd be nice to beat a team with a winning record. I know they got a couple other games. They got Phoenix this Friday night on the road. That's a team with a winning record. And then next week they got their first matchup on the road against the Thunder, which will be kind of their first big test of the season. But, I mean, you're getting last night. I mean, it wasn't a banner game. I mean, Randall and Edwards, I think, were a combined 9 for 30 from the field, and they still won 120-96. Naz Reid is working into shape and looking really good. I mean, coming off the bench, he had 22 points and he had 12 rebounds, and Naz has had after some deep personal family issues, has been kind of rounding into shape and playing better and getting some quality minutes. And there's still, I think, Rob Dillingham played more. And that's the advantage you have when you play teams like this, as you like to call them, the Oswalds. You got to get your bench some quality time on the court. And know who to count on when it's necessary. Berger.
Is the coach doing that? Is he playing?
Well,
is he going
last
deep
night
or
they
not?
did. Last night they did. But I mean, not until, it wasn't like all those guys were still in single figures, I think, for actually, Gillingham played 13 minutes. Leonard Miller even played 10 minutes, and but Clark is kind of a regular off the bench, so I wouldn't count him as a guy that doesn't get playing time. He's almost their first guy off the bench now, along with Nas. But they put him away, and man, Dallas, Cooper Flagg's a young, good-looking player, but man, oh man, they got a mess there right now, and that's why they fired the GM, and they got guys hurt. Kyrie's still out, and they're 4-11 right now. The Dallas Mavericks, and they've always been contending team and right there at the finish line, and now the
Wolves are beating the teams they're supposed to beat,
right,
but they're losing to the quality team,
and that's what has to change. Obviously.
They lost to the Lakers, they lost to the Nuggets, they lost to the Lakers a second time. They lost to the Knickerbockers, and then they lost to the Nuggets again. So and then they're beating the Mavs and the Kings and the Jazz and those clubs.
That's again you're supposed to do, and they've not done that the last couple of years in situations which are almost kind of embarrassing sometimes. But play 82 of these things, and you're going to have bad nights. But hopefully they'll be able to take care of business. Washington's just awful. I don't even know how they can field the basketball team. I can't imagine going to a game there. Just here's a couple tickets. Go.
I'm reminded by a couple of text messengers. Michigan did win last year 13-10 because if you remember, there was the rumor that if Ohio State didn't then turn around and win the national championship, that Day was going to get fired.
Think about it.
Because he couldn't beat
Michigan.
Because he couldn't beat that school up north. Yeah. And then someone else said last year was the big flag planting fight after Big Blue won. And I remember that now. Big Blue won at the Ohio State, and they went to the center of the field to put their flag down. And then that's when the Ohio State players went berserk, and there was pushing and shoving in the whole thing.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well,
no, it's a
would
rivalry.
you want Iowa planting their flag in the middle of Huntington Bank Stadium?
I think.
Would you put up with that, Mark?
Well, I think I remember Wisconsin taking the axe and pretending to chop down the goalpost.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, I didn't like that one bit.
No, of course you didn't.
No.
You like this Wild Club, though, now, don't you?
Well,
once Halloween, once we got out of the month of October, Tennessee, are we 6-1-1 in November?
Correct.
Yeah.
What do you think of them now? You're going to be heading down to St. Paul. You like this?
It's going to be a November to remember.
There you go.
You're going to head down there with your daughter?
Well, eventually, yeah. Hope so. It's kind of busy right now, but a lot of holiday stuff and everything. Went to go see the Springsteen movie last night. I didn't watch a second of the Wolves game.
What?
No, I went to see the Bruce Springsteen movie with a bunch of friends.
How was it?
I enjoyed it a lot. Jeremy White, I think the guy, he was terrific as Bruce. And it's based on his album, Nebraska, and, the 1982 album when he was really at his lowest point in his life and dealing with a great deal of depression and kind of flashing back to how abusive his father was, et cetera, et cetera. So it wasn't just a love story about, here's Bruce's music and how it turned into Bruce Springsteen. But, I enjoyed it. It was really well done. Kind of a different glimpse of him.
Would you recommend people go see it?
I would. It's hard to. You watch movies like that, and I mean, Rami Malek played Freddie Mercury, in Queen from Queen, but it's hard to play. Chalamet played Dylan, phenomenal performance, and I think Jeremy White's every bit as good as a young Springsteen during this time in 1981, 82, and his ups and downs. It's difficult to kind of pull that off, to kind of suspend your belief and realize you're watching an actor play a iconic person like Bruce Springsteen. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good.
What are your plans for this weekend then? What do you got going the rest of the weekend this weekend?
Well, I got a fashion show on Friday night with Carl.
Fashion show?
Well, I'm involved in one. It's a fundraiser for the Minnesota. It's the hospital. What am I thinking of? Masonic.
Okay.
Masonic Hospital.
Masonic Children's Hospital.
Yeah. It's a big fundraiser. A lot of people have been asked to model.
Are you modeling?
I'm modeling with Karin, and we're doing that.
Those white bathrobes from.
I wish.
Is that what you're modeling? Those white bathrobes?
That's funny.
From the Four Seasons?
That would be. You know what we should have done? I mean, we should walk out with our dress clothes underneath and have the bathrobes on over them. That would be a
I'll never
fun
forget
moment.
that as long as I live.
I know. So that's that's on Friday night. Yeah, Friday night. Yes, I believe so. I got to look at all my calendar. Yeah, so that's going on Friday, and I don't know what else is going on. I'm getting ready for Thanksgiving.
You going to Lambeau?
No, I'm not. I got my show here. I really don't travel anymore to these games, so I got my pregame show to do on Sunday morning.
Okay.
So I'll be watching it from my friendly confines of my home after the show is over at 11.
Yeah.
And then Thanksgiving next week already. My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Green Bay at Detroit. And I don't know. I know Dallas is in the other game, but I don't know who they're playing. Well, right, but I don't know who Dallas is playing.
I don't either.
And then there's an AFC game. I'm assuming I don't know who's playing that either.
At Thursday night. Yeah, it makes it difficult.
How about A-Rod with a broken left wrist? He will not need surgery, according to the reports that I saw.
They play the Bears this week, right?
Yeah,
I think they do.
Well, you got to play. You know what you do? You eat some dirt and rub some Robitussin.
His left wrist. He doesn't need his left wrist.
Right-handed quarterback last I checked. Sometimes it looks like he's throwing with his left hand, but you got to play him.
That game in Pittsburgh or Chicago? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know it's a big one.
It's fun to see.
Because the Bears are in first place, and you're dismissing the Bears.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm happy for Kevin Warren and all the folks that were here from Chicago over the weekend. Courtney Cronin, and saw a lot of friends from Chicago work for the Bears this weekend. I was very happy for them.
I wasn't happy for them in any way.
Well, I wasn't happy they won the game.
I think you were.
No, I wasn't.
Sounds like you like this Bears club almost more than the Vikings. You're jumping ship.
I like the people who work for the Bears. I didn't want them to win the game. Don't get my loyalties.
Okay.
My wife works for the Vikings, and I've been a Viking fan longer than her. She's been alive.
Yeah, that's true too. We'll see you tomorrow at 2:00, right?
I will be here. Yes,
that's the legendary one. Teneby, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
And you as well. We enjoyed our visit with you today. We're back tomorrow at 12 noon. Big Ticket and Brett Blakemore are next here on the Fan.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Minnesota! Good night, folks, and good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.